So we're working very well together on those issues. And I will say the big thing that's coming up, there are several big things that are coming up, both statewide, and they will have a huge impact locally. The first one is AB-32. The Air Resources Board is required by law to adopt a scoping plan by the end of this year. The scoping plan is not yet available for comment. There was a draft scoping plan was available. However, staff is writing comments. I was told in no uncertain terms that it would be available October 1st on the Air Resources Board website. I checked a few minutes ago and it still says coming soon. So they are hopefully writing a responsive response to comments that they received. The scoping plan, I plan to review it as soon as I can get my hands on it and bring it to the board for comments. I believe another letter from the board would be appropriate. There has been numerous comments made by other agencies. The main thing that concerns me is the idea of the two-tiered permitting system. The idea that you need a local permit in the air district for all your pollutants except for greenhouse gas pollutants. And then you have a state permit. However, now the state's making noises about the state will have the permit, they'll take the money for it, and we will go out and do the actual work and submit our time and be reimbursed by the state, which I don't think I need to explain to the board that I have a portal of trust that the state actually pay us accurately for our time based on past history. The other issue, and there may be some members of the audience here that would like to address this issue, is the diesel rules. We are implementing the ag pump rule at this point, and then we also have the on-road truck rule, which will not be implemented by the district, but will have a significant impact on industry in this county and on the county fleet. I think Howard can attest to that as he's looked at his fleet. We also have the off-road equipment rule, which has been adopted by the Air Resources Board and will be enforced by the Air Resources Board, but it's going to have a significant impact on anybody who owns a piece of equipment more than 50 horsepower that is used off-road. So with that, and there was also the issue of the appointment. I don't know if the board wants to talk about that or not. Is this correct?
Thanks. Questions of Mr. Brown on his report?
One thing, Howard, you mentioned in here for the burning up in Brookfield area.
Yeah.
Is there still a requirement that you actually can't get a burn permit for a pile more than 4 foot square?
No, it's actually the other way. You don't need a permit for a pile smaller than 4 by 4 anywhere in Mendocino County with the exception of Brook Trails. And Brook Trails, the fire department there requires a permit for all burning. So if you have a small pile that's 4 foot by 4 foot, you don't need a permit from the air district. But it has to be only one pile. You can't have 14 piles on your property, which I've seen.
Supervisor Gilbert.
Your comment about the off-road diesel.
Yes.
It was a word you used. Can't remember now. Distracted by Johnny there, but I think that's an understatement.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It is.
It's going to be putting a lot of our businesses out of business.
The term that at least one person has used with me, somebody who, I don't want to use his name because, it's talking is confidentially, but he's somebody I think most people on the board have business with. His comment was, well, now I know when I'm going to retire. I'm just going to take what equipment I can sell, I'm going to sell it before the deadline, I'm going to move out of state and retire. And it is sad. And this is about emissions and it's about air toxins. And that is an important issue. However, I do think that the state's approach to this issue is wrong. They are really not looking at the volume of emissions that are produced. They are looking at specific pieces of equipment. And we would much rather see an approach that looks at how much is being generated by that equipment. Somebody who uses their equipment 90 hours a year and really isn't a major source and they're in a remote area is not something I'm concerned about, whereas something that's chugging away in town 24/7 is something I'm very concerned about. And this rule does not have any, there's no way to compare this thing. Very happy.
Supervisor Trenches.
This, for the audience information, there's been a recent study that went into up to 35% of our bad air accidents traced to China? Some of the studies.
I don't know percentages, but yes,
You know,
particularly here.
the last time we had this discussion, Chris, I asked you to find out from the state, how will that affect, like, if we put these new regulations in place for California truckers and California business owners, what about outside companies that are stationed right along our borders, like in Nevada or Oregon? Will they be able to come in and operate with their equipment in California without the same regulations?
I asked that question of the state, and I think it was brought up, I don't remember, John, if you were at the meeting at Bruticos when the state was talking about the on-road rule. But, okay, but, you know, I was trying to be as strict with them as I could. How are you going to enforce that? What's going to happen? And their kind of response just seemed to be this generic, well, the CHP is going to catch up for us. And it doesn't seem to be that if I was the CHP, doing Air Resources Board's job would be my priority. You know, and I can't speak for Ray.
But my question is, will, say for instance, a Nevada company or any company based out of California be able to bring their equipment and bid on it? Let's say they're a successful contractor, and they'll say, well, we don't have to go by those rules because we're a Nevada company. Will they be able to operate and compete with